Hey everybody, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rachel, and this is Good Things to Watch with Joey and Rachel, a podcast with two pals who watch a lot of movies and TV. We'll be taking a deep dive into our favorite films and shows and sharing insights as to what you should be watching too.
Today, we'll be talking about our favorite movie monsters, ghouls, ghosts, and serial killers, and everything in between on our October watch list.
Just a word of warning, these episodes may contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movies and shows we're talking about today, what are you waiting for? Go watch it all and then come back.
Rachel, have you been outside yet today?
I have not. I'll be going out a little later.
It's so what is today? Is today September 27th?
25th.
25th. I'm all out of sorts with dates lately. But today I've noticed there's a little chill in the air. It feels like a little less humid, and it feels like I think tonight I'm gonna watch my first Halloween or October movie, because I like how you taught me this. You call it Halloween first when it hits October, and I love that. And I haven't decided yet what I want to watch. I'm not sure that I want to dive completely into a Halloween movie or one that's completely revolved around the holiday itself, but maybe something a little bit more seasonal. But I've started drinking my pumpkin spice lattes. I've started burning pumpkin candles. And yes, I have started trying on scary costumes and stuff for the season. So I'm very excited for October. How excited are you?
Well, first of all, I want to know why I'm not seeing any pictures of you in all these different costumes.
Oh, they're not ready yet.
I need to see that. I'm miserable in summer and winter, because in the winter it's like, it's too cold for me. And in the summer, I'm complaining about the awful heat. So I really enjoy times like spring and early fall. And like a day like today, I'll go outside and I'll have my t-shirt and quite possibly still my capris on, because I'm not ready to give those up yet, but I'll have a hoodie with me.
Yeah.
And so I do kind of like that. I like to pull out my hoodies, and wear those. So I'll be comfortable today. So I kind of love it.
I love the transitional seasons. I love fall and spring. I know a lot of people hate spring because it's like muddy and cold up here, but I like it because I was born in spring. But it feels like they're shorter for some reason. Like I feel, and I think it's because of Halloween for the fall. Because I think with that, there's just comes a time after October, like, oh, we're on our way to Christmas. And yeah, Thanksgiving's there, and that's definitely an autumn season, but I feel like it goes a little faster because you're not really celebrating every day. I feel like a lot of people take all the time in October to get a little spookier and really kind of get into the feel of the holiday. And I do think it's a very special holiday, just for the sake of it's not tied to any popular religions that we celebrate in America. And I think it's cool because you do see versions of it across different countries. And I think for me, it's the most time that I have a very dedicated watch list. I don't really watch many Christmas movies. I do like Christmas movies and holiday movies in general, but I guess I don't like to dip into it until like 15 days before Christmas-ish, where like October, I'll watch something scary every single day. I've started October on September 15th sometimes. But I definitely noticed like I almost turn off everything else I'm watching and I stick to a bunch of spooky or autumn feeling stuff.
Right. Same here. I mean, we start sometimes watching Christmas stuff after Thanksgiving because we don't watch anything Christmas beforehand. But you're right, though. Halloween's tend to start, or tends to start early, and even in August, people are bringing out their horror movies, and we're kind of like all year long horror people, so it really doesn't faze us.
Same.
But during October, we do kind of ramp it up a little bit, because that's when we'll pull out the TV shows too, the old episodes.
I have noticed I've gotten away from. I almost dedicated too hard, and I think I do want to change that a bit, because I used to be more of a horror anytime. I can watch the Halloween movies anytime. I love Michael Myers. I think he's so cool, even though he's a serial killer. But I really love him. But Yeah, I think that's totally true. I used to be more of just a straight up horror fan for everything. Um, but yeah, it definitely ramps up more. And I just want to go on the record here. I think Christmas Vacation could really be watched any time of the year as well, because it is just so wonderful. And I do love that Christmas movie very much.
Absolutely. And I'm with you if you want to argue again over some of them. We can always rehash that old fight.
We can. I think we have to wait a little bit to dive into that. But
Yeah,
why don't we could dive into some of our October watch list and talk about what we have planned for that if you'd like.
that sounds great. Why don't you get us started?
Sure. I think let me take a look at my list. I want to see. Oh yeah, I know what I'm going to start. What I want to talk about. Um, a move. I have a big list of movies and shows, and I don't know if we'll get to all of them. Maybe it depends on how long we talk about certain ones. But something I want to talk about that I'm excited for, that I haven't watched, and it's out for years already. But I want to watch The Curse of Chucky. Um, when I was growing up, I used to be terrified of Chucky. Something about his face really scared me. Like I saw him and I would cry. And my older brother and younger brother, it's always an interesting dynamic when your older and younger brothers bully you together. I don't know. I think it really helps you to become a stronger, more sarcastic man in the future. Anyway, but they would do this thing. They would do the Chucky walk when and they thought they were so funny and they thought that I was always getting scared of it, but they'd always do like, hey Joey. And I'm
Oh
just
no.
like you guys don't understand how annoying it is. Like I'm not scared. I'm just annoyed that you guys are doing it and making fun of something I'm terrified of. Ironically, I became such a horror movie fan after falling in love with the Halloween franchise, and I eventually dove into Child's Play and got over my fear of Chucky. And now I love the Chucky movies. I think Child's Play 2 is my favorite. Um, but it's a really interesting series. I think there were 5 movies together: Child's Play 1 through 3, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky. And then the Bride of Chucky and Seed of Chucky were essentially more comedy than horror, but it was still interesting. It was still the same creators, still Brad Dourif playing Chucky, who's one of the greatest voices in horror.
Mhm.
He's just an icon, and he's a really great guy here in real life. Um, but yeah, so I really grew to like him. And The Curse of Chucky, it came out. It looked like it was a remake or some sort of a reboot, and it was a continuation. And I just think that's so interesting. And apparently, it did really, really well and got good reviews. And it brought it back to the horror roots. And I saw pieces of it here and there, and it was pretty scary. And then they did a follow up to that, and now they have a show coming out. And Tiffany, played by Jennifer Tilly, has been a part of all of them, and it was really cool. I love those. I love those sequels that are secret sequels. Like it seems like it's a reboot. It seems like it's something different, but it's still connected to what you love. So, Curse of Chucky is something I've had on my list for a while. It's something I'm really excited to watch.
That's great. I have to ask you though, a lot of people don't like second movies, Halloween 2 aside, like Nightmare on Elm Street 2, things like that. But so tell me why it is that you like Chucky 2, Child's Play 2.
First, I gotta say pish posh to that, Rachel, because there's plenty of great sequels out there. I mean,
There are, but it just seems like some of them really
Aliens.
get pooped on. So I'm eager to learn what it is about the second one that you really like.
Let's see. Okay, so I think the first one I think is scarier inherently because I think something that's cool about the first one versus the second one in Child's Play is Child's Play 1, they leave it up to your imagination for a large part of the movie on if it's actually the doll doing it or not. And I feel like I've heard Curse of Chucky does that, which really is why I'm intrigued to see it again. It's like they leave you thinking, is it really Chucky or not? With the second one, it's Chucky from the start, and this doll is animated and he's chasing Andy Barkley throughout the whole movie. I think the thing that I like about the second one, they go through a toy factory. There's a lot of really interesting set pieces, and the colors they use, they're very bright. It's very 90s. And I think I like that because it kind of like reminded me of like Full House, lots of reds and stuff. It kind of reminded me of the time where I feel like a lot of really classic horror movies fall more to the 80s style stuff. But I also like that their character Kyle, his foster sister in that one, and she kind of serves the same role as the mother in the first one, but she's cool, and they have a really sweet brother sister dynamic, and it was cool to see an older sister defending him and them fighting together, and she was a badass, and I always like a good final girl, and I feel like the first Chucky, while you had Catherine Hicks, who was great, something about a mother and a cop and a child felt very different than a horror movie classic teenager, final girl. And I think she was awesome. And she came back in the Cult of Chucky, which is the latest follow-up. And I think she's going to be in the series that's on Sci-Fi. So that's really cool. And I liked her a lot. And but it's definitely a weird sequel to say you like better than the first. It's not usually in a lineup of sequels you think of, but I feel like there are some horror fans that like Chucky or Child's Play 2 better than Child's Play 1.
Sure.
How about you? What do you got on your list?
Well, the first one is an oldie but goodie, Beetlejuice.
Oh God.
And the reason for that mostly is because, I love Michael Keaton, and I love every Michael Keaton-y thing that I've ever seen.
He deserves so much respect.
Right, he does. But I've only seen, and I know this might be shameful to some people, I've only seen Beetlejuice once.
Really?
And I saw it when it first came out, have not seen it again. And so when I think of it, I don't remember a lot of it. And I go, well, it was okay. But people talk about it so often as being so wonderful that I'm like, what did I miss the first time around? Has it been so long that I've just kind of lost touch with it? So our plan is to watch it again and just,
it truthfully blows my mind that you've only seen it once.
I know. It's one of those movies that got shelved, and it's kind of like, okay, I'll see it again sometime, and then it's just never happened. So we're really looking forward to watching that one.
There's something about that time frame with Tim Burton and Danny Elfman working together, because it's like the music is so much of it. I love that score. I'm going to play it all day today, and I think you've just revealed to me the movie I'm going to probably start with is probably Beetlejuice. Crap, we said his name 3 times. Wait, I said it twice. You said it once. I think we're still good.
Yeah, but as long as you don't say it a third time.
Right. You're correct. Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully no one messes up in the next couple minutes. But I love that movie with that guy. I almost did it. I love Winona Ryder. I think it hurts so much that we're like still give us part 2. They're both at the height of their careers again, and Tim Burton's gonna do the Addams Family revival on the live action on Netflix, which so far I think it's gonna be great. I'm really excited. Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Morticia, and I forget the name of the guy who's playing Gomez, but he's in a lot of things, and I just think he's wonderful. He was recently on Shameless. But it's nice. I think it's gonna be great. And Tim Burton and the Addams Family, I think it's gonna be great. I'm so excited for that. But Beetle. Sorry, almost said it. Almost said it. Such a classic movie. I think after you watch it the second time, I think you're really gonna. I think this is gonna be it where you fall in love with it, because I'm like, what did you love about it? Because I'm so curious now, because something clearly was missing if you didn't watch it again right away.
Michael Keaton.
When did you watch it too?
When it first came out. I mean, when did that movie come out? Was it?
Rachel, you got to rewatch it.
I do have to rewatch it, because to me, it's like, that's what I fell in love with, was Michael Keaton.
When did that come out? I'm phoneless today, so I can't cheat and look at stuff. I feel like it was 1993.
We're going to look that up. We're going to look that up right now. And I do appreciate Winona. She's never been my favorite, but I do appreciate her. Absolutely. I don't know. I really can't describe. I mean, having been so long since I've seen it, I can't really speak to what it is that I haven't gone back to with it. I just, 88.
Really? I was off by 5 years.
So,
thought
I
it was
mean,
rather
yeah, I
good.
mean, so when I saw it, okay, so yeah, I would have been a teenager. I, I don't know. I mean, then again, it's back then it wasn't as easy access either. And I don't think that there was there wasn't access to repeated viewings like there is today.
That's a good point. Y- That's like a really interesting point, and it's almost like I think it's a product of streaming, and I really like it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's cool. Because now that we're getting a little past regular television, like now that I've been living in streaming world for 2 or 3 years now, and I like don't have any access to regular TV, it's almost like you have to kind of just make your own programming. And for people like you and me, I think that's really fine because we're good at identifying things we like. But you're right. It's have hours during the month of October. So it's kind of like, do you do you like do you choose this or that? But it's cool that we have access to everything now. So I totally see that. Yeah, I might have just not caught it. And it's not a big repeater on TV.
Right. And so like the few things that I did have access to more often, I watched more, which is how, I can not watch Beetlejuice twice, but I can watch something like Better Off Dead or One Crazy Summer 50 times.
And it's tough too, because it's like even if you have VHSs nowadays, like to rewatch old stuff that you have, it's kind of like you do have to either get a streaming service or purchase. I'll probably like purchase stuff on like Apple or whatever, so that way it's like you just kind of have it. Like I just want to have movies that I know that are close to my heart and I need to know they're there. Like Father the Bride or like Halloween itself, things like that. Um, but it is interesting like how you do have to like just choose your own stuff nowadays and just kind of know like where it is, because even if you have the VHS, it's not like you can go back and watch them because that quality deteriorates so much over time. It's not like it's a record that's going to hold on to its pristine sound. It's going to look crappy. I think it's funny when people want to collect VHSs. I'm like, why?
We still have some of our old ones. I think only two are like kind of like collecting kind of things, but the rest are kind of like, well, still have them and we'll eventually throw them out when we get to that pile.
I had somebody arguing with me that they wanted a bunch of VHSs because the quality is so good on them. Like, do you remember what that looked like back then? Like, there's they're not gonna look good.
Now, if you
I
want to
just
talk
think it's so
laser
funny.
disc, then maybe there's an argument for that. But
But maybe if they're just using it to build a boat to get off a deserted island, like in Castaway.
that's true. Or you could build walls with VHS,
Yeah,
make a
yeah.
little fort.
Anyway, I like that last pick of yours, the thing that we will not be talking about. Um, let's see, what do I want to go with next? I have a couple really good ones that I'm excited for this year. I guess let me just dive into it. I've already talked about the series a lot. I just want to briefly jump into it. Halloween Kills. Really excited. I loved Halloween 2018. I thought it was such a cool follow-up. There are my gripes with it, but everyone has gripes with everything and nothing's perfect. So why can't we just show what we love about it? So I think something with Halloween 2018 I didn't like is that it didn't take Halloween 2 as canon anymore, because I like how Halloween 2 is on the same night. I love Halloween 2. I think it's great. And I like the idea that Michael Myers killed 16 people instead of 5, because it's kind of like, well, nowadays, like, that's not like a big deal. Like, I mean, it is a big deal, but you hear people less frightening than Michael Myers doing a lot worse. And I just think that kind of took away from a tiny bit. However, really loved 2018. I loved how it really felt like one of the old ones. And I really think Halloween Kills is going to still carry that vibe. I worry it's a gateway. It's out on October 15th. I'm really excited. It's very close. And I think from what it looks like, it looks great. I think Dr. Loomis is digitally coming back, which if they keep it brief enough, I'm fine. And they don't make it too much of a focus on the guy. But if they use archive footage too, that'd be really fun. And I loved his voiceover actor in 2018 because I just thought it sounded just enough like him, and it was really cool. And they destroyed it enough. I really excited for Halloween Kills, and I know, like I said, no, it's a gateway movie. I know we're not going to get a definitive ending, and it will probably be frustrating. And I feel like Laurie's going to be sidelined a lot.
And you're absolutely right about that. I'm kind of mixed about this one, Halloween Kills, because said this is the second movie in this new trilogy, so Michael's not going to die. So it's kind of like, what's the point? But that said, I've found in the past few days with the trailers coming out, me kind of getting a little more excited now. So
they have all the original actors. Marion Chambers is coming back with of a thing in Halloween 2. So I thought it's so cool. And they're redoing her scene from Halloween 1, which she's getting her hair pulled. I don't care what any of the haters have to say. I am very happy because you know what? They had remakes and they went back to the original story and said, we're going to try and continue this the best we can. And good for them. They did it. I think we did talk about it though when 2018 came out. I think I did say to you at the office, I'm like, I really hope they don't make a sequel. I really hope they don't push forward to the sequel because it was so good. And I'm like, I could totally see them doing it. You didn't see him really die at the end. So, and they did. So here we are. Just going to kind of go with it.
Here we are. Well, it'll be interesting and something to watch during the month of Halloween anyway.
Oh my gosh, I'm taking a look at some of the movies that you wrote down you want to talk about and TV shows, and I'm hoping the next thing you talk about is this one I'm taking a look at.
Well, the next one on my list, I'm just gonna, go through it briefly. Our usual fallback for Halloween is the Roseanne Halloween episodes.
That's what I was hoping you'd talk about.
We actually have the whole disc that came out. It's dedicated to just the Halloween episodes, so we end up usually watching those. There's just so many great ones in there that it's hard to like pick a favorite sometimes because they're just most of them are really good. So yeah, it was one of the brilliant things about that show is their ability to do something like that.
I love the shows like that do Halloween episodes and they really dive into it and they don't try to just make it a little tiny thing that's in the episode. It's like all about Halloween and silly things happen and it's not because you know what? It's like movies and TV are supposed to be the suspension of disbelief and supposed to bring you to this world. And you know what? If magic can't really happen in Halloween in the movies or TV, then where the F can it happen, Rachel? So right. I appreciate that. And I loved Roseanne. And I know we've spoken about it numerous times and how terribly disappointed we are in her and what happened. And she blew it. She really blew it. And I was a fan. And I'm very sad that she said that really terrible thing and she ruined it for herself. I'm glad for the cast that the Connors seems to be doing just fine. I actually haven't kept up with it since. I really loved that comeback season. And I was really sad that it floundered like that. And I thought it was cool because they retconned what happened to Dan and they made it good again. So it was a bummer. But you're so right, and I'm not gonna condemn an entire series based on the thoughts and beliefs of an actor who is, she's the star of it. But there were writers, there are tons of people who worked on that show, and it deserves to still be commended for what it was. And no matter what the future held for what the actor said, but their Halloween episodes were wonderful, and it reminds me a lot of Boy Meets World's Halloween related content. And oh man, they were great. They're classics. It's a great thing to watch for the fall season.
Absolutely. We can watch the same episodes over and over again each year, and they're still just as funny to us. What she said was absolutely wrong. I just, and I see why they did what they did. I can't watch it without her.
Same.
So I have a hard time with that now, but I do love to look back on these Halloween episodes and just.
I think Roseanne if they had carried on the show and Dan was dead, like they ended the show on, it would have been the same thing. It's like, she's in it, yeah, but it's not the same. It's not Roseanne without Dan.
Right.
And that's what it felt like to me. It's like, yeah, kill her off, end the show, whatever you're gonna do. I'm glad they kept going with the show because I think that cast and the people who made that show deserved it. And it was not fair to we're not talking about just the cast. We're talking about like the hundreds and hundreds of jobs that were basically set in stone. And then she just killed it for those people. It's really, there's a lot of background that goes into it, and a lot of like low paid people that work on movies that people don't acknowledge. And it's things that we just look at movies as things that like these rich people are making. It's like, it's not all rich people. There are some people taking home peanuts working on this for you because you need to be enjoyed by it. So I think I'm really glad that happened. But you're right. It's not the same. It's not the same without everyone together, and we'll never be the same again. And all things come to an end, and that's that.
Right. Absolutely. So do you want to tell me about the next on your list?
Let's take a look what I have on my next on my list. Let's see.
I'm excited to hear about that. I don't know what that is.
I'm hopping all over today, Rachel. I'm not sticking to the numbers. I've always been like that. Let's see. I'm currently watching, and I do count it as an October watch. Because it's mystery, it's murder, and it's on Hulu, and it's new, and it's only murders in the building. And ironically, it's a podcast. It's a show about three people making a podcast series about a murder in their building. And it's Steve Martin, it's Martin Short, and Selena Gomez is their younger female counterpart. And I think the balance between those two older actors and her is wonderful. It's like masterfully done. It's so fun. The music's fantastic. It's Steve Martin Short. It's like they hit all the right notes. It's a fun mystery. It's New York City, but it feels cozy for some reason. But I'm really, really enjoying it. And I'm truly not sure like who did it. Like it's an interesting thing about the show. I'm pretty good with movies and shows and mysteries, and I could tell you what happened from the very start. And you know what? Knives Out is totally overrated. Sorry, just wanted to throw that in there. But I'm not sure what the outcome is going to be on this show, and I think it's just enchanting. Enchanting is a wonderful word for it.
So tell me briefly what it is that's enjoyable about Selena Gomez in this role, because admittedly, I don't know much about her than what I see in headlines on the internet. I've never watched anything with her in it. So, I mean, and she's past my generation in pop culture viewing. So I don't know anything about her.
I don't think it's almost not fair to compare her career to this role. She's not my favorite singer. I usually like a really powerful, like strong voice singer who doesn't need much music, but she chooses incredibly good songs for her. She chooses roles that are good for her. She got ahead with Wizards of Waverly Place and some other roles. And I think something interesting I really like about her in the social media, like stuff that she does, the work she does, it's like she chose a really good outlet. And I think she's very smart. I really like her a lot in this show. She kind of has like an Aubrey Hepburn kind of feel to me. She's something mysterious about her. There's something classy about her. And I really like her a lot in this. And if you're not a Selena Gomez fan, I think you should really give her another shot, because she bounces off those two veteran actors who've been in the business like 50 plus years and are fantastic and have worked with the greatest of the greats. And she's in there and she's just like, she makes it look easy. So I would definitely give her a look in this. She's really something.
That's great to know. I mean, it's not like I'm not a fan as in I've had anything against her. I'm just not a fan as in I haven't had much exposure to her. I really don't know her. So and I really love Martin Short and Steve Martin. So I'll look into it.
Yeah, she's great. And those two, it's truthfully some of the best stuff I've seen them in in a little while now. So really great from both of them. I really, really enjoy it. And I watch a lot of Netflix. Like I said, I watch a lot of streaming services. So I think while I do love Netflix pushing out everything at once, I also do love a weekly release for the idea of you get to live with it a bit longer and, you know, feel it out for those months and not a week. Which is why I'm really happy Grace and Frankie released 4 episodes of their show the last season before it ended, because I wanted to hold on to them as long as possible.
Okay, then it's Grace and Frankie. Do they do anything for Halloween?
You know, they don't. They are very, and I admire them about this. They really don't go into any holidays. The only holidays that they really feature on there have been like Labor Day, Memorial Day, and all these like one-off things that are not very. They really don't dive into holidays. It's an interesting show for that, and I think it'd be weird in San Diego. You know, it's hard. I think it's hard to feel like Christmas or Halloween over there. You know, so it's like, why bother?
That's absolutely true.
But hey, if they throw together a Halloween episode, I'm here for you. I'm ready to watch.
Right. One thing I've got to get you to watch this year is Hubie Halloween. Definitely have to get you to watch that this year.
I have such a complicated relationship with Adam Sandler, and I know we have a whole episode planned to talk about this man.
We do.
Oddly enough, I have recorded an episode podcast on Adam Sandler in the past with a previous podcast. So it's just a very popular topic that needs to be addressed, but I can't trust him, Rachel. I can't watch Hubie Halloween. I can't.
Trust this one.
How?
I mean, we've been jaded over the years, ourselves a few times. You know what I mean? We're jaded at this
I'm
point.
jaded. I'm not even jaded anymore.
For some things we are. We kind of, you know, go like, man, old hat, whatever. But Hubie is really good. I mean, he kind of plays this bumbling person in town who he's kind of like, well, I wouldn't say Dwight, because Dwight is a little harsh.
I heard he's like Bobby Boucher.
Kind of like, he's like a mix of Bobby Boucher and Deputy Dewey from Scream.
Oh.
You know, he's this Halloween helper in town. He helps enforce Halloween rules and keep Halloween safe, and, you know, almost like Bobby Brady in the hall monitor thing. And you know, and he takes the role very, very seriously. But then this particular Halloween, there is a lunatic running around, escaped from an asylum.
What are the odds?
I know, right?
What would you compare it to on his previous?
His job is to save the town.
What would you like? What would be a good comparison of this movie to, like, is it like Grown Ups, or is it better than like, give me a comparison movie for Adam Sandler here.
Okay, honestly, if down to the two, I would say I probably enjoy Grown Ups more.
Okay. I mean, I still like Grown Ups. I know, I acknowledge that both of them are not good. I like them. I don't care what anyone says. They're fun for some reason.
Grown Ups isn't good. Do we need to have another argument?
Oh, they are not critically review, acting, setting, story, writing, everything.
Okay, we're gonna have to argue about this during our Adam Sandler specific podcast. We're gonna argue that because we're gonna argue. But this is
today
it's certainly better than his worst ones. And it's Halloween, so that kind of is a big draw for it. But he is very Bobby Boucher and very Deputy Dewey in that he wants to be respected in his role, and nobody is. I mean, he's the town buffoon. People make fun of him. They mock him for his Halloween safety. So
don't you raise your voice to me, Bobby Boucher.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, Waterboy.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe I'll check it out for the Bobby Boucher thing.
Yeah, there is a charm to it, and it's Halloween, and there is that lunatic on the loose, so it's fun.
Okay, I'll take a look at it then. You kind of convinced me with Bobby Boucher, but it's hard to trust him anymore. He does all this Netflix stuff, and sometimes Netflix is great, and sometimes it's not great. You know, today are the Tuttums.
The what?
Netflix is releasing a new thing. I think it's essentially going to be like their whole Apple Marvel release dates, DC release date thing, with a bunch of trailers. So I think today we can expect Stranger Things 4 trailer. I think we can expect Cobra Kai trailer, and they're calling them the Tuttums because it's the Tuttum.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
I thought it was clever. So we might, who knows, we might have some more Adam Sandler content by the end of the day.
What's next for you?
Something that I'm excited about for both of us actually is the Muppets Haunted Mansion. I saw a trailer and I was actually less enthused about this trailer when I saw it because it was just the other day, but I put it on my list and I love the Muppets. So I think I'm just such a Muppets fan. I think my favorite one, it's either Muppets Christmas Carol or I love Muppet Treasure Island. There's another one. Oh, Muppets from Space. That's a great one where Gonzo realizes an alien, because it's one that's not really based in another story. It's just kind of them on an adventure. And The Muppets that came out in 2011 was awesome. What a return to form. But yeah, so I'm excited. I think there should always be Muppet content. I love how the Muppets actors are never acknowledged. It's always their real people themselves, like starring Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. And I just think, oh, I'm so happy we do that as a human race. They present awards, Rachel. How do they do it?
How do they do it?
Miss Piggy and Kermit have presented Oscars in the past. I didn't see a person doing any Muppetry. How is that possible?
They have their own TV show for a little while.
I liked it, and that was a real bummer it didn't go on. I thought it was great, but
I liked it too. I think they struggled with the audience because you think Muppets kids, but yet it was adults.
It was for adults.
So.
It was for adults. Yeah, it was a shame. They should have marketed that better if they could. But I think yeah. So Muppets Haunted Mansion. I like the Haunted Mansion story because I from the movies and stuff like that, and I know it's a ride. But I just think anything that we have these silly characters, and if we get to hear Miss Piggy go hi, she's just, oh, I laugh every time. It's like new every time she does it.
Next for me is a movie that's been advertised a lot lately called Malignant.
Oh yeah, what do you think of that? I was like, kind of like, whatever.
I think it's going to be one of those surreal movies where you're not quite sure what's real, because it certainly seems that way for the main character, where her dreams are actually reality. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what that's about.
Interesting. I don't know. I've been oddly like hesitant to go see, unless I don't know, because I guess like, nowadays if movie is really something, it really gets a lot of hype. So, and I feel like I haven't heard it too much, and horror movies are kind of a dime a dozen. So I don't know, it's tough. It's hard. Like last like great horror movie I think I saw was Hereditary, but I would check it out. I'll wait for you to tell me what you think of that.
Okay.
Before I see it. But the dream thing reminds me of one of mine as well that I have. And it's something that I wish they'd retcon, but I just don't think they're ever going to. And that is Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
Ah, yes.
I love Nightmare on Elm Street. The series I respect. Like I'll watch them like I watch a Friday the 13th movie. I don't have as much love for them as I do for Halloween. Like I will like be in those movies, but Nightmare on Elm Street. There's a few of them I really like. I like the fifth one a lot. The third one's okay. But the first one's just like a classic. But Wes Craven's New Nightmare, the seventh one, it was really kind of in the vein of like kind of a reboot, because it's about him coming out of the movies and attacking the actors and creators of the movie, because it was like some sort of like legend of a like dark spirit that's kind of entrapped by a story, and once the story gets too old, it can get out, or when it's not passed around enough, it can get out. and it has to live in that. And I thought that was so interesting. And they brought back Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy, who's the final girl of A Nightmare on Elm Street, and she's in Nightmare 3, and she gets killed in Nightmare 3, which I hated. And I'm like, oh, why would you do that to Nancy? So it was really cool to see her come back. She plays a mother in it, and she's a badass. And it was really just a really clean, tightly put together movie. It's scary again. Like, I remember watching it. I saw all of them. Like, I'm genuinely frightened of this again, and it's cool. It's an early '90s movie, but really, really, really awesome.
That's cool. That's another one that I need to see again. I have not seen that in a very long time, so maybe I should put that on my list as well.
It's an underdog horror movie. It kind of flew under the radar, and it was kind of like, it came out around the same time, not maybe not the same time as Jason X, but it was like the equivalent to Jason X, because it was the addition to the series before Freddy versus Jason, but it wasn't part of the continuity of the series. But it was great, and that's a bummer for me because I love Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I don't think we're going to get another great reunion of Freddy Krueger.
Probably not. Probably not. And that might be for the best, though.
I think it might be, because I think that was it. That was Halloween 2018 for the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. And it was awesome. And it just didn't get a lot of hype. And I wish it did. I really wish it did. And Nightmare on Elm Street's a great franchise. And the remake was terrible. I just don't think I don't think Robert Englund will come back. I think he might be too old for it. I would love to have him back, and I would love to have Heather Langenkamp back again, but they ended their fight, and I think it was good.
I think so too. I think just let sleeping dogs lie and just let it rest.
Totally. Where are we at? We're at I think we're about 45 minutes now. Do you want to do three more each from our list, and then we can dive out of it?
Sure. I will just say that Shudder seems to have a lot of stuff, good stuff going on right now. I've been taking a peek on there, and they have a few things that they have some oldies and goodies on there. Like they have Creep Show, and they have Devil's Reign, which we just once freaked my husband out when he was a child. It's that, it's got like Ernest Borgnine and William Shatner and John Travolta, and it's all about the devil's cult, and it's got some really creepy scenes. And they've got The Dead Pit, which is not a great movie, but it's one of the better of the zombie knockoff movies from the late 80s.
Is Shudder free? Or is there
Shudder? No, you can get a free trial, but I think it's like $5 a month or something like that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, exactly. So
I would only use it. Not that I would only use it for that month, but hey, why the heck not? $5 to get all those horror movies. That's great.
Exactly. The fun thing to The Dead Pit way back when we had VHS for that is that if you pressed on the zombie coming out of the grave, his eyes would glow. So that was like really fun. That's what drew me to that movie. Give me like flashy stuff and I'm there.
Oh, I love
but Shudder also has this other movie called Slasher Flesh and Blood that I'm looking forward to looking into. Just a dysfunctional family that's gathering for a reunion, and they're being pitted against one another and being stalked by a masked killer. So
yeah, and masked killers are great. I mean, in the movies,
right?
I still have to watch Strangers. That's not on my list, but that's one that I've always wanted to watch.
Yep, I need to watch Strangers too.
I like how I've heard they don't use any music in it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because then it's like, oh, that feels real then. Like if you saw a dude creeping behind me in my video right here, and just like, which I do actually have someone coming over in a little while, so if you do see someone, no need to be alarmed. There is somebody heading over here soon. but a lot like Hill House. Hill House was wonderful. Okay. Well, we have to talk about a couple things. The ghost in that show, oh my God, it was so good, Rachel. Did you watch Bly Manor yet?
I did.
What do you think?
I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. And the first one had, to me, it was a better story. And I really did enjoy seeing all the ghosts and trying to catch all the ghosts everywhere, which that magic was lost for me in the second one when Bly Manor, when they didn't do that.
They do it a tiny bit, but mostly it's not happening.
Yeah, it's not really happening. The story was good and well written, and I like what they did with it. I just think that And of course, it worked how they wanted it to. It's a very, very, very heavy subject matter,
Yeah,
and the ending of it is very heavy. And I'm just not at a place of my life where I enjoyed that heaviness right now.
it
So
was
it really
very
kind of
heavy.
threw me off, and it kind of really depressed me for a few days.
It wasn't really about scares. I like the line at the end where it's like it wasn't really a horror story, it was a love story. And it was true, it was a love story, because it's not,
Yes.
because it was kind of like the horror of death isn't just about being cheaply scary. It's sad and there's sorrow in it, and
Right.
not everyone gets that ending that they want to get. And it was beautiful in a way, though. I'll give it that. It definitely really emotionally tied me in. But I
It
totally
was.
agree. I think Hill House was much more in line with what I was looking for a horror show. And I just think I like the family. I like the actors in the first one. And they brought a couple of them through, but they don't all interact again. So there was just a couple pieces that I didn't like. And they're doing the creators made a new one, I think comes out today, and I forget what it's called, but it looks okay. I'll probably check it out. I think it's called Murder House or something like that. Is that what I don't know.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, check it out. It's not a part 3, but it's the same creators, so that's something. A little sidetrack there, but let me take a look. What else do I have on my list that I can really kind of chat about more? I'll pair up these two. American Horror Stories and American Horror Story double feature. I want to see both of them. I've been holding off because I know American Horror Story is released in the summer, and I kind of want to just have it to watch a whole bunch of them. Which I think is interesting that they did these one-off stories. It's kind of like Are You Afraid of the Dark, but more serious. So I think it's interesting. I think it's a little bit of a cash grab. But I'm curious to see if it's good. And double feature, I'm curious because Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters come back, and I'm glad they're doing the aliens again. I just don't like this double feature thing that they're doing because they've never done that before. I'm kind of like, oh well, couldn't you have just like done a beach season and done an aliens, or have the aliens be a part of the beach season? Because I mean, aliens over water is a huge thing, especially right. Literally, the governments are telling us it's real. Oh my God, Rachel, aliens are real.
Yes, indeed they
I
are.
don't think
We've
we
always known that.
acknowledge this stuff enough as people. Like, oh my God, they're just openly saying, yes, yeah, we don't know what it is. They're checking out our battleships. Oh my God, Rachel. Are you
It's
terrified? Are you as scared as I am?
I'm not really scared yet. I'm more stupidly excited.
Yeah,
You
me too.
know,
I'm like fascinated.
right now I'm like the people on the roof on Independence Day, standing on the roof waiting for the
Oh my
aliens and trying to
God.
welcome them.
We're fools.
That's me right now going hello, even though inside I should be scared to death, and I know that. But
Rachel, that's not true. You know, you and I are going to make a big speech about how it's our Independence Day. And then someone will be like, it's October. It's like, well, it's our Independence Day now.
exactly.
Celebrating it now, not July 4th.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I'm excited. I just like the and it's also it takes place in Provincetown and Desert Valley, and I go to Provincetown sometimes in the summer because I love the Cape. So it'll be cool to see some familiar sights. And again, just I think Sarah Paulson, without Sarah Paulson and Evan Peters, it just wasn't the same show. And I saw in 1984 and just felt like a season of Scream Queens, which I later found out it was written to be a season of Scream Queens, which made a lot of sense.
Okay, I really enjoyed Scream Queens.
I like the first season, the second season, and I do like Scream Queens too, but I don't want my American Horror Story to be my Scream Queens. They're two different things. Scream Queens is definitely much funnier and
Right.
more comedic. Horror Story definitely tries to keep you in the twisted world a little bit more. In '84, it did feel a little silly at some points. It did feel kind of like they were joking about stuff.
Right. I think that's kind of like the trope now. If you go retro back to the 80s, you gotta play on the goofiness and the big hair and the bright colors and
I like the early '80s better though, like where horror was more and that's something I never really spoke out specifically. There is something about the late '80s or mid or to late '80s to the early '90s where they got really goofy, and I think that's why I like Halloween so much, because I feel like it roots itself in that late '70s horror.
Well,
and it always has.
Halloween was very different anyway because it wasn't a slasher. It was more of a thriller.
Yeah.
Because there were very few people killed as opposed to the new Halloween, which you're killing so many more people, and it's kind of become a slasher over time. But the original Halloween was not a slasher. And I think all the influx of slashers that came afterwards kind of led into the comedic side of it all. And that's how just it evolved.
And I want to also say, like, I loved in 2018, like there's a scene where he's like randomly killing people in Halloween 2018, and he's just kind of walking through the neighborhood. I like that a lot. It really, because I think that's terrifying, like the randomness of it. Like he chose some people, he didn't choose some people, and some people are saying, "What a random scene." I'm like, yeah, but doesn't that freaking terrify you that this is just what he does, and there's no rhyme or reason to it? He's just walking through. He's a force of freaking nature.
Right.
Love
Absolutely.
It. Totally, very frightening, and I think there's something to the slashers. Yeah. So sorry, got off on a tangent. American Horror Story and American Horror Stories, something I'm excited about.
We go off on tangents all the time. That's just us. That's what we do.
We're tangential, is what we are.
Yeah, we are. So the next on my list is one I'm interested in called Squid Game. It's South Korean.
Ooh,
and it's a mysterious survival competition, not too different from Hunger Games or the Japanese Battle Royale. So,
for a second, I thought it was what Hunger Games is based off of. Okay, so it's something new.
It's something new. And I'm really I think it's 9 episodes. I'm really looking forward to checking that one out.
I still haven't seen Parasite.
Neither have I.
I'm ashamed of myself for that because I know it's fantastic, and I'm ashamed.
Add that to my list now.
I'm ashamed of, like, I just heard it's fantastic. I can't believe I haven't seen it, and it's something I really want to check out. But I do kind of want to watch more South Korean film because I hear it's just fantastic, and I want to watch more stuff that's not just English because I don't want to limit myself to that because there's lots of great stuff in the world. However, jumping off that, a non-English movie I would like to check out soon, to bounce off that, is Train to Busan, which is a zombie horror movie on a train, essentially. I think it looks really interesting. I love that they're fast zombies. I think they're much scarier than the slow ones. I think ever since I saw that in 28 Days Later, I thought that was like such a creepy. I don't think zombies were scary until I saw that. Because like, oh well, they can catch you now. But Train to Busan looks really cool. I really don't know much about it. I just think, and I think that's gonna be more of a challenge for me. Is I really don't like subtitles or anything like that. But I want to open myself up more to, because there's great cinema everywhere, and it's not negligent. It's silly of me. It's stupid of me to think that it's not going to be good or I won't enjoy it because it's not English. And that's that's the marks of a great movie is the story can be told without words, and I think it's gonna be good. I'm excited.
I do enjoy foreign films. I don't mind subtitles. I'm not big into dubbing, but I don't mind
like
reading
dubbing
subtitles.
Not big dubbing.
There has been a lot of infighting in the zombie genre for years about whether it's better to be a running zombie or a slow just kind of shambling zombie. I prefer them slow. I understand the terror in something chasing you and you're not going to be able to get away from it and they're going to hunt you down and just tear you apart. Mm-hmm. But there's also something terrifying to me about a slow zombie just kind of shambling its way along, and eventually it gets its way to you and it slowly tears you apart.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I think the zombies really scared me from then, but then I go back and think like, well, my favorite zombie movie ever is Shaun of the Dead, and they stuck with the slow zombies in there too, and they're great still. I don't think they're not bad at all. I mean, I love that movie so much. I have such a spot in my heart for Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, and Edgar Wright. Those three are the holy trinity of great movies. I love those three. But yeah, I don't know. I guess they both have their merits, but I think this one looked pretty cool. And it almost is like they feel more of the virus portion of it in those types of movies when they're running for some reason, because it doesn't feel like a true zombie. It doesn't feel like a corpse that's up and dead and is coming at you. It feels like a person who's still alive, who's some crazy virus that they want to eat flesh with, and their muscles are still working just fine. But yeah, I guess that's my second to last October watch pick. I'm going to take a look at my others and see which one I want, because there's a few on here that I won't be able to say anything about either.
Yes, I know that we could write a day's worth of a list, you know what I mean? But we just kind of like have to pick and choose for now. I think the last one that I'll get into for now is Into the Night, which is a sci-fi thriller on Netflix. Right now it has 2 seasons. I have not started it yet. But the official description is passengers and crew aboard a hijacked overnight flight scramble to outrace the sun as a mysterious cosmic event wreaks havoc on the world below.
Huh. Sounds a lot like the Langoliers.
It does, kind of, doesn't it?
That's interesting. I wonder if it's just the Langoliers, like in a different version of it.
Maybe.
Because that sounds very familiar.
I'll let you know.
Yeah. What, Into the Night it's called?
Into the Night.
Is there a trailer already?
I believe, well, yeah, there is. They're on season 2 now.
Oh, I'll check that out. How exciting. Okay. Those things scare me for some reason. I'm trying to think. I know we talked about a lot of great ones. There's a lot of stuff that I want to watch that I just haven't seen yet, so I don't have too much to say about it. But I guess if there's one that I'm really excited for that I have seen in the past, and I think I've even talked about in the past, I think I've even talked about a little bit on this podcast, but I'm going to go give it to Halloween 3. I think Halloween 3 is one of the best horror movies that just flew so far under the radar that a lot of people didn't know about it. It does not have Michael Myers in it. They wanted to make it an anthology series at the time, which obviously I think they made a mistake by having 2 movies about one central character to have a changeover to a completely different story. I think it was the early 80s it came out. I think it throws people off. I think today's world, we're more ready for that type of thing. But I think back then it was kind of like, well, what are you doing? You can't have a sequel be not about the main character. And I think it killed it. I didn't want to watch it for the longest time. However, throughout the years, watched it on TV, and it really holds the spirit of Halloween 1 and 2. Is it Tom Atkins? Is that the actor?
Tom Atkins, yep.
Tom Atkins, the main character, and he's kind of chauvinistic. Every year I watch it, I'm like, oh wow, look it's a little dated, some of the stuff he says to like the nurses that work with him and stuff. But it has this whole, I love the androids. I love the world against you, is working against you thing. I love the factory, the company. And I'm using air quotes, everybody. I think it's really scary when the company is against you. And the witchcraft and everything. There's a voiceover from Jamie Lee Curtis eventually, and the masks are great. And it took me a long time to get there, but I really want to, and I almost want to apologize for it, which is why I probably bring it up year after year, is why I want as many people as possible, check out Halloween 3 when it's on TV, or if you can find it on a streaming service somewhere. Halloween 3 is an awesome movie, and it did a disservice being called the Halloween movie, because it set up expectations that people weren't ready for. And I think that's the biggest killer of some movies, is when you set up certain expectations about it and then you don't follow through.
Absolutely. I think that's one of our favorites as well. We were just thrilled a few years ago where we got to go to the drive-in in October and see Halloween 1, 2, and 3. It was exciting. What? And we were there for that, and it was so much fun.
The Halloween series is such a funny one to watch, because them doing an order, any kind of order they put out, no matter what, is going to be controversial. If you put out 1, 2, and 3, that's going to be weird. If you put out 1, 2, and 4, that's going to be weird. If you put 1, 2, and H2O, that's going to be weird. You put out 1, 2, and 2018, that makes no sense because part 2 doesn't exist. It is such a fun series to watch, because it's not like you could choose your path. Do you want to go the Jamie Lloyd route? Do you want to go the Halloween 3 route? Do you want to go the H2O route? Do you want to go the 2018 route? What a world.
It's a vortex.
It's a vortex of a franchise, and I love it. And I'm here to support it when whatever it's going to, except for Rob Zombie.
Except for Rob Zombie.
Wait for my series, Rob Zombie. You don't come back near it. You stick to your rock star stuff.
The man who said he would never do a remake and then started doing remakes.
I don't like him. Pretentious, mean, jerk, ruin the series on purpose, which I kind of respect a little bit because he really didn't want to make a sequel. But
you know, I love the Firefly trilogy. I really love House of Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Three from Hell. Three from Hell I don't love, but I really did like it.
When did Three from Hell even happen? I don't think I heard of that.
It did happen a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yep. Check it out. It's not bad. I actually liked it. I would have preferred that it end with Devil's Rejects, but since he did a third one, it wasn't a bad addition. Let's put it that way.
It's wrong. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't like Rob Zombie. I just felt like I didn't like what he was saying about that series when he made it, and I didn't like about how he was so one-track minded what he wanted to do with it. And I don't like his cursing. You don't need to curse that much in a movie. People don't curse that much in real life. People don't curse that much in movies.
Have you been to my house? Do you know me?
I'm just saying that for his movies, I think the Firefly trilogy makes sense. But for Halloween, which is a classic horror movie, and that is such a wide-reaching thing to many different types of fans, that you shouldn't have messed with it in that way.
Okay.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. That's the perfect statement to end this.
Stated.
Okay. Want to wrap up?
Let's do it. Do you want to read the outro? I just feel like I'm a little stuffy. I don't want to sound gross.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you like what you heard here today, give us a big thumbs up. Join in on the discussion by leaving a comment, and while you're at it, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new episodes. We'll see you next time.